This week, we've got some pretty interesting news as the May halving for Bitcoin comes up. There's a new school of thought showing up that the halving might actually be a bad thing for the price, and we could see a price drop. And then we've also got three little tidbits of news that are all making cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin easier to use in everyday life. We are joined by Dave Zeiler, Money Morning's cryptocurrency expert. Thanks for being here, Dave.
Always good to be here.
So let's start with the kind of meatier stuff. The halving's coming up in May, all very exciting. And we've talked about it a lot here, and that it's probably going to be the trigger for a rally at some point in the near-ish future after the halving. Now there are people who say otherwise, and that it could actually cause the price to fall. What's their argument, and do you agree with them now?
Well, the main gist of their argument is that because we know it's coming, and it's been widely known for a long time, is that the halving is priced in to Bitcoin. And some people think that the pricing in happened earlier this year when we had the price going up past $12,000. That was it. Now it's already priced in so that when it actually happens next year, the price will be flat, or it may even go down, because one thing we know is that the halving will cut the income of the miners in half, because they're going to get half as many Bitcoins for each block they find. And so they're going to have to survive on half the income, but the same expenses. So this will definitely disrupt things. Miners will have to shut their machines down maybe. It's always been a little bit of a disruptive event. But the system is designed to accommodate this and adjust over time. So within a few weeks, it'll settle down. And then things will go to normal. It may very well be that the price goes down around that time a little bit. But I don't think that the halving is going to have no impact long term. Because in the past, what we've seen, we've only got two halvings, so a very limited bit of data here. But in the past, you saw where prior to the halving, not much happened, and even like immediately after. But it was in the months after where you started to see the price going up. That was the first halving. And the second halving, it was even a little bit more pronounced because it took longer. The price spiked up a little bit ahead, then it went down. It actually went down significantly after the second halving. But then after so many months went by, it starts to go up. And then a year and a half later, you see the peak when it hit almost 20,000. And so I'm seeing this happening over the next, couple years. We're going to hit the halving. It'll be disruptive. The price might go down. But the effect of having the supply cut in half is something that's going to be felt over a longer period of time, just like we saw before. And the other factor is demand. You got to figure if the supply is cut in half, the price isn't going to stay the same unless demand is lower. Why is demand going to drop? It should at least be somewhere near the same, unless everybody abandons it at the same time. Just doesn't seem likely. And it's more likely that we're going to see more people coming into the space, more investors, bigger investors over the course of next year. And so you're going to have the situation where demand will probably be higher at some point next year, and the supply is going to be cut in half. That's not changing. Every day, half as many Bitcoins as what we got right now. You are going to see the impact on the price. And it may be, it's hard to tell because we only have a couple here, but it's likely it'll be a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But you will probably see another rally as a result of this halving take place at some point afterwards, but it's not going to be immediately afterwards.
Let's turn a little bit to some more kind of daily use aspects of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So we've got three different organizations or movements or efforts to make cryptocurrencies easier to use. Let's just roll through those super quickly. What do you got?
Yeah, well, three things happen. It's one of the problems is that, ease of use is the biggest barrier to people adopting it. And so we're seeing some movement on this. One was that Coinbase filed a patent that would allow people to send Bitcoin through email, which would be a really big deal. It reminds me of the way people can send money to each other with services like Venmo and Zelle. It's very easy to send money from one person to another. And that's like, you can do it with crypto, but it's a lot more complicated. This would make it much easier. That's one thing. Another thing is that State Street, was one of the big banks, is partnering with the Gemini Trust, which is the Winklevoss twins. They're going to consolidate their asset reporting. There's going to be crypto assets will be consolidated with their other assets. So you'll get it all in one report as opposed to you have all your assets here and then your crypto stuff you're responsible for. You're on your own, which is the way it's been. It's been hard on crypto investors because nobody does that. You go to these exchanges, they don't send you things like brokers do. So this would make a big difference for crypto investing if more people started to do that. Maybe that will happen. Maybe this will set a precedent. And then the third thing is that in Congress, they have the Cryptocurrency Act of 2020, which would be a really big deal because it does several things. One is that it would define different types of cryptocurrencies because how they're defined will affect how they're regulated. And the other half of it is it will set out the jurisdictions for the different agencies that are involved, like the SEC and the CFTC. Up until now, they've kind of looked at it, and each one has looked at cryptocurrency and tried to figure out what their role in it is supposed to be. This will actually spell out the role for each agency, what they're supposed to be doing. That would be really huge because that's really been a huge barrier to adopting cryptocurrency, is all this confusion about what jurisdictions, it lies under, what are the regulations, and am I going to get in trouble for doing this? Who do I need to talk to? That would clarify a whole lot in the crypto space.
Great. So those are all very exciting developments, and we'll definitely be tracking the Congress's work on the Cryptocurrency Act and see how that develops and gets through committees and all of that.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, of course. We always appreciate it. I believe we're off next week for the holiday, and then probably back in January in the new year.
That's right.
So Merry Christmas to everyone, happy holidays, and have a happy new year.